Bike Guy Consulting here. Some wonderful news. I have finally bought new wheels for my Giant Revolt Advanced 2. So basically found a nice pair of light bicycle carbon rims laced to the White Industries CLD hubs. Slightly used, got them on a screaming deal, about 600 bucks. Supposedly just used twice. They came in the mail this week. Got to clean them up a little bit, but they feel super light. I really like the hub, the engagement, the sound. Looks really nice. I already put my little speed sensor on there. Got to clean them up a little bit. They're set up with tubeless tape, and pretty excited. However, what's happening with them is that they came as a 135 millimeter quick release setup on the hub, if you can take a look at that there. So I need to convert it to 142 millimeter, 12 millimeter through axle. And so I bought this online because White Industries doesn't sell direct, so I had to try to find a dealer, couldn't find anybody with having it in stock, found it on eBay. So hopefully this is the right tool, or probably the right part that I need, and hopefully I shouldn't have any problem installing it. They had some pretty good instructions online that I took a look at, and I'm going to give it a crack. All right, here we go. We have a center lock disc. Here's your kind of end cap for the quick release, and there's actually a little tiny port right there, a hole in that center lock piece that you need a 2 millimeter Allen key, and there are actually 3 little Allen bolts in there, and if you line it up, and White Industry says turn it just a half a turn. They're not on there very tight, so it's really easy to do. And there's the second one, and there's the third one. Okay, so hypothetically, I now should be able to just kind of remove that. It doesn't seem to be budging. So what they tell you can do, if it's not coming off easily, is you can take a 6 millimeter or an M6 bolt. There's actually threads inside the quick release. Screw that in a little bit, and then you can take a standard quick release skewer, put it through. I'm going to take a soft rubber mallet, and bingo. Now our end cap and collar come off. Okay, and there should be a washer in there that I don't see. Might not be able to see it because of the grease. Nope. There's no washer there. Okay, that's interesting. So that has been pulled out. I'm going to set that aside. And next thing we're going to do is actually pull this whole hub assembly off. So, okay, that's nice and easy. I want to be careful that the pawls and springs that are in there, not really familiar with the internal mechanism here. I've never seen the inside of the hub before. I'm not sure if those pawls and springs go flying out like some of the Mavic products I've worked with in the past. So you got to be careful, and I'm working over this white t-shirt on my workshop here. And it's tight, but it is moving for me. There we go. Okay, so that is off. And again, I'm going to take a little look here, and it does look like there is a small washer right there. Okay, I want to make sure that that doesn't come off, but there's enough grease on there that I think it's staying. I'm going to check the bearings just to make sure they're rolling smoothly. Yeah, they're buttery smooth. That's nice. It's always nice when you buy something used and it's in good condition and you don't have to worry about it. Now, the next thing we need to do, it looks like this has 3 pawls, and they're just kind of like a keel plate, not actually a spring in there. So those aren't flying off. Still see some of the white grease, so it didn't get a ton of use. So maybe it was as advertised. So all I'm going to do is just bang that down, and I should be able to pull the axle all the way out. There we go. I'm going to put that down, and there I have the quick release 135. Oops, there goes my M6. There we go. Put that over there. And that's the collar and the end cap are actually separate and different. Okay, so when you are putting things back together, the collar goes on, and then this just sits over it, and the collar comes up and secures that. So that's what it looks like. It's actually two pieces plus the axle. This end is press fit on, is what their instructions say, so that does not come off. Now, since I'm changing dimensions, right? This is set up for 135 millimeters, and I need a 142 millimeter axle. I just want to make sure that this is as ordered, because it looks a little short. So if I measure the original, yeah, that measures from this flush part to this flush part 135 millimeters as expected. So that's the old. What I'm concerned about is that this is measuring 139 millimeters. So that's concerning me a little bit, because that does look like, based on the kind of butting of the internal axle there, that this should go on all the way, and then the collar should come up and tighten it on. Which means if it gets installed as is, that's not going to be 142 millimeters, which is what I need. So that's interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and install it, and I'm going to see how it goes. So I'm going to do a little light grease on the axle itself. I'm just using the Park PPL1, pretty standard poly grease. Now I'm going to insert the axle into the freehub. Okay, there we go. Pull up the wheel. Now remember, there was a little washer there, and it is still there. Just gotta be careful not to damage it. There we go. Now often with these assemblies, because those pawls don't like to go in very easily, as you're pressing this in, you want to rotate it counterclockwise. And that allows the pawls to fall down, because that's their normal engagement direction. And then you saw that dropped right in right away. So that is, and you can see this is set up for the 12 millimeter axle. Here's my 12 millimeter that's going to go in once we get it all finished. Okay. Now if we spin it around, here's my collar. I'm going to slide that on. And then now my end cap is going to go on down there. And that definitely sticks out more than the previous one. But the collar isn't snug up here like I think it wants to be. And this is where the instructions were not necessarily terribly clear. I'm not sure how that's going to stay on once we get that. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. I'm going to find my little port here. I'm going to do it this way so I can hold it. And I want to add a little bit of tension or pressure to the collar, to the end of the axle and the collar, not the end cap. And then these really only take a half a turn and kind of get them just barely hand tight. just check that. Okay. So that end cap still does come out, right? So, okay, I'm kind of checking play on this. And the axle seam's in there. Can't really disengage it or pull it out. This end cap may be normally that loose, but let's see if I can kind of try to roughly measure it. I'm going to do this. So I'm just kind of creating an angle there. Push it up against that and come all the way out here. And just eyeballing it, I think I'm at about, 139, 140 millimeters. So it is not 142, which is what I need. So that concerns me. Okay, so just to confirm what my fears are, let's try to put in this converted White Industries. So the right hand, the drive side, is snug in the dropout, and then this side is completely loose and not even touching the far dropout. If I shift it over and that's snug, then this is not. So this is not 142 millimeters. All right, if we compare and contrast that to the regular wheel, now if I slip in the regular wheel, you can see that that side is snug, this side is snug, and there's no play side to side. So it definitely isn't working.